Brian Grimes, your real estate mentor, back with another action-packed session. Tonight, we're going to be breaking down for you guys real estate LLCs, everything about LLCs. I get so many questions. Brian, where do I set up my LLC? How do I set it up? Do I need an LLC to invest in real estate? What's the best state? What are the fees? What's the process? How do I structure my LLCs to protect myself? I'm going to break all of that down for you guys. So make sure you stick around all the way to the end so that you can get all your questions answered. If you're new to the channel, like, comment, subscribe. Leave a comment that says I subscribed in the chat section, in the comment section. For everyone who leaves that comment, I'm going to send you instant access to my free real estate training. It'll show you how to acquire properties for pennies on the dollar all across the country. You don't want to miss out on that free offer. If you're interested in any of our programs that we have for you guys, the Boots on the Ground program, where we build houses for you in the Philadelphia market, just click the links in the description and book a call with me and my team. You can tap into some free trainings there as well. The one-on-one VIP mentorship program as well. Click the links in the description and tap in there. So, guys, let's start off with some of these mindset focuses here. So, the mindset I want to focus on today, and even this is even something that I struggle with at times because it's easy to want to do things by yourself, especially today with social media, with everything we have at our fingertips, and kind of everything that you see when you go on your phone, you go on Instagram, you go on YouTube at times, and you see people who are presenting as if they're the only like Superman out there. They're the lone wolf, and they're just tackling everything by themselves. And there's this mindset where they're saying that if you want to go fast, go alone. If you do it yourself, if you're doing things by yourself, you can go extremely fast. And in real estate, I wouldn't even say fast is good. You can try to go do 10 properties real quick and hit your goal and break yourself out of the 9 to 5. But if you move too fast, you can run into brick walls. You can run into hurdles. You can get burned by contractors. You can run into all these different pitfalls that a lot of us have to go to and go through to get to where we want to go. So you can go fast alone because nobody's going to hold you back. Even without mentorship is going alone, going to school of hard knocks. Nobody's going to tell you no. Maybe a lender will tell you no, but nobody's going to tell you, oh, don't do that. You can run as fast as you can think, and you can get far. Well, you can get there fast, but if you want to get far in this game, long term, if you want to hit those long-term goals, I want to get 20, 30 deals, and I want it to be like clockwork, because a lot of people will get those 20 to 30 properties and then they'll lose them all. They'll give them all back because they were going too fast. If you want to get there and have a sustainable path to where, all right, I got these 30, this is my nest egg, I'm going to keep this, and then I'm going to continue to build on it. And you want to go further than that, get 100 properties. And I know a lot of us are just thinking, hey, Brian, chill. I just want to get 1 or 2 cribs and get out of the 9 to 5. But that's what I thought too. My goal was a 10-year plan. I was going to get 1 property a year for 10 years, and then I would have 10 properties. And that exploded into hundreds of deals, right? Over the course of that 10-year period, multiple hundreds of deals. So you can get a lot further, but you're only going to get there together with a team, with mentorship, with support, with more knowledge, with a lot more resources, with architects, engineers, permit expediters, lenders, contractors, different forms of mentors and mentorship, different sets of knowledge, different sets of strategies, and then virtual assistants to scale yourself. You're only going to get far with a team. And step 1 to getting far and getting that team in place, if you don't know how to do it, if you haven't seen it, I was blessed to actually work at a startup before I got into this real estate game. So as I was working at that startup, I wasn't just working there for the money. I was working there to learn what was going on, to see what was behind the hood of a company, so that as I wanted to scale in real estate, I could use some of those same principles. And what I started to see was there's a big team here, and there are key members on this team that are all working together in unison to hit that goal. And you can go very far with that team, and you can avoid burnout with that team. But if you try to do it all by yourself, you're going to burn out very quickly. You're not going to hit your goal. So if you don't know how to do it or you haven't seen it done, mentorship can be a way where you can get there, and get a lot further without the pitfalls, without losing all that money. And trust me, guys, there's not that much learning in getting burned by a GC other than I don't want to do that again. It's kind of like touching a hot stove and just getting burned. And you're like, well, what did I learn? Well, don't touch the stove. Don't do that again. Probably should have got mentorship. Probably shouldn't have been trying to move too fast or maybe too arrogant to get knowledge. And this isn't just you guys. I say I struggle with this too. I just signed up for a mastermind today for what I'm working on, which is expanding the YouTube platform, expanding the channel. And speaking of expanding the channel, like, comment, subscribe, click that like button, subscribe, share the content with somebody who you think will get value. Keep pushing this information out there. But joining masterminds, even myself, is something that I will do. So practicing, what I preach. If there are ways where you can accelerate and go further with more knowledge, sometimes you have to tap in. And nobody is immune to that, guys. It's part of the process. In fact, some of the most successful people invest about 10% of their annual gross income into their own education annually. And this is why they accelerate and get further than a lot of us. So when in doubt, bet on yourself, but always know if you want to go fast, go alone. Go out into the school of hard knocks. You're probably going to fail forward. You will get, in my opinion, to where you want to go, but you're going to get there a lot slower than somebody who goes together, because that person who goes with a team and focuses on building, they're going to leapfrog you at some point. You might hit 20 deals faster than them, but they're going to hit that 20. And by the time they hit that 20, they're going to have so much momentum with a team that you're going to look up, they're going to be at 80 and you're going to be at 22. So understand that you can go very far in this game, but you will go much further with a team. And if you don't have a team, you don't know how to get linked in, tap into mentorship and get plugged into, resources that are already existing that are waiting here for you, because that's going to not only get you further, but it'll get you there with a lot less pain. You don't have to get burned out here. You don't have to lose a ton of money out here and just not have anything to show for it at the end of the day. So hopefully that helps, guys. It looks like we may have had some questions come through. If you have any questions, drop them in the chat section, the comment section. I'll answer them as we're going through. I'm just looking through here quickly. LLC is on my list of things to do. Great timing. One out of the 9 to 5. You got to get out of this 9 to 5 ASAP. That's why I rock the shirt. I'll make some of these hoodies and stuff available to you guys too. If you want this, get out of the 9 to 5 into 24/7 cash flow hoodie, I'll make some of that stuff available for you guys. I have 2 LLCs and I intend to go as far as God will allow. Definitely. There's definitely faith in real estate. Part of faith is showing up every day, giving it everything you got and trusting the game. If you trust this real estate game, a lot of us trust our 9 to 5. So we show up every day. We trust that the paycheck will be there. And that's cool. But if you trust the real estate game, it's going to get you so much further than a 9 to 5 will ever take you, because there's just less pushback. Real estate, this game doesn't care how much money you make. You can make as much money as you want realistically, especially once you get the hang of some of these strategies. And I don't know if you guys have seen I did a interview on our youngest mentee, Zion, recently. And a lot of you ask about him because I talk about him a lot. But he just got his first deal. And it's just trusting the game. He's one guy, I will say, it may be because he's so young, he never really learned or got over influenced by other strategies, realistically, by the time he found me. So he just took the strategies and started running with them and is immediately, getting success. And who knows where that guy's going to be. He's only 20 right now. By 23, who knows where this guy's going to be. But there is some faith in that. Faith in real estate will lead to more houses, more financial freedom, and we'll put you in a position to just build, more for you and your family, which is a lot of our goals. Can you talk about the safety of land trusts? We can definitely talk about trust. But trust, what you have to understand about trust is trusts are about, let's get into it now. What you have to understand about trust is that trusts are about being anonymous. Trusts are about creating distance, but only in the form of being anonymous. so that nobody knows it's you. So you can set up a land trust or some type of trust, and then that trust can own the LLC, and then that trust, you can be the beneficiary of that trust, essentially. So as the profits pass through, they can come back to you as a beneficiary. And then if somebody is looking at, well, who owns this property, they'll see a LLC owns the property, and then they'll see the trust owns the LLC. The beneficiary information is not available. It's not publicly available. Now, if you get in a lawsuit and the judge is like, "Are you the beneficiary of this trust?" You have to say yes, right? So it's not like it's completely bulletproof. But for somebody who's just trying to sue you, like a tenant, they're trying to see all the assets that you own. Having that trust is going to give you that level of distance, but it does not give you the liability protection, especially the revocable trusts. It does not give you the liability protection or other forms of protection that you're actually looking for. So it's important to understand, the trust versus the LLC. The LLC is truly giving you that limited liability protection, hence limited liability company. So you just want to know what you're getting into and why. There are times to use trusts. There are reasons to use trusts, but trusts don't give you the protection of the LLC. They make you a bit more anonymous. So they give you multiple layers of what we would call asset protection. And that's what this is all about, is just protecting your assets. Protecting your assets. So in order to protect your assets, you have to not have all your eggs in one basket, for starters. And then you have to have multiple layers between you and the asset, so that if anything happens, let's say somebody slips and falls at your property and they want to sue the owner of the property, you'll have some limitation there with the LLC where they can't get to you personally. On the flip side, let's say you were in a car accident. You might have all of your properties in an LLC, and then you get in a car wreck and they find out that you're personally liable for some reason, for some type of tort. You can have a dual level protection where the LLC and its assets are protected from your personal liabilities as well. And that is an important wrinkle. And that's what we're here to talk about today as well. So both ends of the coins, because that's how you play at the highest level. This is the level that the top businesses, the top business professionals out there in the world, that this is the level that they play at. And they go even further to a degree. They can go offshore and create, offshore trusts in the Cook Islands, and then have different layers there, where even if you're trying to find out, who owns this, and you get some type of subpoena, they don't recognize it, because they're just like, we don't recognize the U.S. subpoenas here. Like, we don't take anything from U.S. judges here. So there's levels to this thing. We'll get into as many of the levels as we can. But of course, we're not going to be here on this one forever. So we'll go with as many questions as you guys ask, and we'll kind of see where this thing takes us. Somebody said, can we talk about land trust? We will. Definitely need that hoodie. Said, wow, if I was 23 with what I know now. Exactly. And that is the goal. But everybody feels that way. And I'd say it's never too late to get into the game. No matter how old you are now, if you haven't gotten a deal yet, the best time to get started is right now. Get into the game, get your first deal under your belt, and then you continue to scale your way. And it only takes, that is one thing I will say in terms of mindset, and you guys should just know this, it only takes one deal. One deal will completely transform your mindset. And really, it's that first deal that breaks you free from the 9 to 5. People think it's like deal number 10, but deal number 10 is just a byproduct of doing the same activity that got you the first deal. It really is that first deal that gets you over the hump and where you want to be. Because it unlocks your mindset, because you're just like, wow, somebody's paying me rent. Wow, I was able to get that deal with creative financing. Wow, I didn't believe that I could even obtain this knowledge. So you start to cross so many barriers just to get that first deal. Even if you saved 20, 30,000 to buy your first property, you learned a skill set, which is how to save 20 to 30,000 for a property. And learning that skill, how to save that much money, doesn't go away when you deploy that capital. So that skill set stays with you. And then you can save it even faster and even more because you can start coming up with more ways to save. So this all just continues to feed into itself and will get you ultimately to where you want to go. Andrew said, I have 11 properties and 3 mortgages. I'm doing most of the work myself and suffering burnout. What is the best way to find reasonably? I'm not sure what the end of that question is, but I mean, you should definitely book a call. You should click the link in the description and tap into my free training and then book a call, because you're at that point. This is the golden point. I haven't talked about this enough, but there's some golden level where you get to like double digit properties for the first time, 10 properties. I can't tell you how many guys I know that have gotten to 10 properties and just fell back, because when you're doing it all yourself and you're getting those maintenance calls and you're trying to balance your books and manage all your stuff, and then you just keep getting calls, you start falling behind on service calls, and you're looking at the likelihood of bringing in a property management company, but then they're going to take 10% of your profits, and you've never done that before, and you can just burn out. And a lot of guys will just give them back because they can't handle it. And I'm not saying you're that guy, Andrew, but what I'm saying is there are systems that you can start to put into place now to step out. I was on a podcast this morning, and we were kind of talking about this transition, and they were like, well, Brian, how do you scale your company? How do you scale a real estate business? And I'm just like, well, there's 2 phases of any company. There's the phase where you're working in the business, and then a phase where you're working on the business. And you will continue to iterate and go in and out of these phases as you're scaling up. So working in your business is when you're where Andrew is right now. You're doing all the work yourself. You're suffering burnout. You're trying to figure it out. And the only way out, I say, is further in, which is another mindset hack. The only way out in real estate is to go further in, to go through the deal. It's like going through a cave to come out where you can see the light at the other end of the tunnel. And how do you get out of this situation is to create systems and then scale with VAs. So Andrew, here's the funny part. You're only maybe one virtual assistant away from stepping far enough outside of your business to be able to work on it and then continue to correct it and make it more profitable. Just one virtual assistant, a few key systems, and you will scale quickly from 11 to 30 properties. So there are only a few wrinkles you have to make, which is why I say you should probably book a call and reach out, because we can help you to get to like 50 properties pretty quickly, because you already have something that works. It's now a question of, can we put a system in place or a series of systems in place that allow you to scale quicker before you collapse through burnout. And it's essentially a race against the clock at this point. But the best way to find help is to just reach out, tap into mentorship, deal with somebody who's already scaled it and can just give you the blueprint so you can just go do it. Because you're also a do-it-yourselfer to a degree, right? You're a do-it-yourselfer. So you're out doing it yourself. And I'm a do-it-yourselfer too. But I have people around me who push me. I have people around me who I can go to and be like, should I sign up for this program and just get the knowledge? Like, I think I can do it myself. And they're like, bro, just hit the button. Like, just hit the button. Don't think about it. And then as soon as I do it, I'm like, thanks for pushing me. Like, I needed this happen to that program. And I feel better immediately after. But I always have that inclination of like wanting to do it myself. So you have to know yourself and where you are bottlenecking. For a lot of us, unfortunately, if you stepped outside of your business and looked at yourself, you realize, oh my God, I'm the bottleneck. Like, I am the bottleneck. And as soon as I get out of the way, everything will scale. Here's a question example. I shouldn't start an LLC until I only have acquired more than 5 properties. Since I'm starting out, one rental property not producing lots of cash, the cost of an LLC would outweigh the profits. Not necessarily true. So I would start out investing with an LLC, especially if we're talking about rental properties. So that's a question a lot of us have is, when should I get an LLC? Well, I would start off getting an LLC essentially right away. I would get that LLC right away because a lot of the lenders want that LLC. So when you're dealing with a construction lender, when you're dealing with a hard money lender, if you're doing the burst strategy, if you're dealing with portfolio lenders, these are the lenders that will, if you showed up and said, I want to do 100 deals this year, will you just keep financing me based on the rental income of the properties? And they'll say yes. That's what portfolio lenders do. You want to have that LLC because they require it. They don't allow you to do this stuff in your personal name for the most part. So they will have you do everything through an LLC. Particularly, why are they doing this? They're doing it all through an LLC because they are issuing commercial loans. They're not issuing loans that are consumer loans. So there's two types. There's a consumer loan, which comes with consumer protections, which means if the loan defaults, you have a lot of protection. They have to serve you notice differently. They have to account for things differently. There's just a longer process if they want to try to foreclose or take the property back. There's a lot that they have to do. Whereas with a commercial loan, they can waive a lot of your rights. They can do confessions of judgment in some states. There's a lot of different wrinkles to the game. So most of your deals will have to be in an LLC. Even if you're starting with one, the amount of exposure you're open to is not limited by the amount of properties you have. So how do I describe that? Let's say you have one rental property and it's in your name, and you look at the cost of an LLC. You say, well, an LLC, and this is typically around the cost, might cost you $500 to set up or less in some states. So let's say it's $500 to start an LLC, and this property's cash flowing you $300 a month. So you say, oh man, I'll be giving up like 2 months of cash flow. I'm not going to do that. I only got one. I'll wait until I get 5. I'll just keep them in my personal name. But then somebody's kid's in the property. There was some lead in the property. They got lead poisoning, or maybe there was some lead at school and they got lead poisoning at school. But because they live in your property, they blame it on you. The judge says, it's highly likely that they got it at the house. So you get hit with a lawsuit. That lawsuit, if you're in the wrong state, has unlimited parameters, meaning this lawsuit could get into the millions very quickly. And now it's on you personally because you don't have an LLC set up. So you have no type of protection. That you want to be very careful about. You want to have this LLC in place because you don't know what the cost of the lawsuit is. That's just the debt of the lawsuit. This is after you hire an attorney and fight the lawsuit. So you might be 50 grand into an attorney. If you're lucky, you could be 100 grand into an attorney. But let's say you're 50 grand into an attorney, then you lose. Now you're still 2 million personally. You're done. You're out of the game. And they're putting those liens against your properties and any other properties that you have personally in your name. So then you would step back and say, well, man, the $500 cost of the LLC could have been worth so much in terms of value and protection versus, the potential liability. So I wouldn't look at it as I only have one property. I don't need an LLC or shouldn't start. In terms of properties, one thing that I was taught by when I was just getting started, a property management company, and I used to pick this guy's brain. They had a couple thousand properties that they were managing, was 5 to an LLC. You take 5 properties, you put 5 to an LLC. And no more than that no more and no less, because you don't really want one LLC per property, because then when you come to tax time, you have a bazillion tax returns that you're filing. You might be filing K1s and 1065s on like 15, 20 properties or 15, 20 LLCs. And then each one of those, they might charge you $2,000 for the tax returns on each LLC if you're dealing with a legitimate real estate accounting firm. So now they're running up a heavy bill on you. Your bill could be $50,000, $60,000 just for your taxes. And depending on what level of operation you're running, that doesn't make sense. So 5 to a LLC will allow you to spread around your risk a little bit better and put yourself in a better position. And that's kind of part of deal structuring to a degree. But we'll talk about some more of that a little bit later. Oh, he said reasonably priced help. So that's what that was. What's the best way to find reasonably priced help? I mean, you just reach out. I would say my one-on-one mentorship program is probably the most reasonably priced one-on-one mentorship program out there. My one-on-one mentorship program is cheaper than a lot of group courses out there. Group courses are where you get access to course content and maybe some type of group once every other week, if at that. Probably aren't even as good as these lives, realistically. And there's no one-on-one support. And programs like that can cost. I've seen programs like that for 12 to 15,000. So look and you shall find. You gotta do your research. You gotta look around. You're already here, so I would say if you're looking for reasonably priced help, at least book a call and learn more. You might as well. You're already here, but it's not easy to find, man. I wish I could sit there and tell you reasonably priced help is easy to find. You can find great mentorship programs everywhere. You can, and it was one of the reasons why I created mine, was because I saw that there was a gap within the industry, because there's all these talking heads, and I wouldn't say that they're like lying to people. They're not, but they are one dimensional in what they talk about. They talk about one strategy, whereas we're teaching you all the strategies. They Some of them haven't really done many deals, so they don't have much experience. And then most of these mentorship programs out there, they don't spend any time with you one-on-one. And if you don't get one-on-one time, here's my feedback on what I see in the market. There's group mentorship and one-on-one. About 10% of people to maybe 20% can get value from a group course. That's where it's 100% self-study, just course modules. You just go through the course and take action. If most people could get value from that, they would already be doing real estate, because there's a lot of information circulating out there. Most people don't get value from that. The 80% to 90% of people who don't win with group courses, they almost all of them win with one-on-one mentorship, because they have different questions, unique situations, and they need somebody to guide them through. And that's the way to get ahead. So it's not always also about reasonably priced, because price is relative to value, but you want an outsized value based like program. Like, I want a ton of value for the best price possible. And you have to think also about just what you're looking for. Are you looking for one-on-one? Are you looking for like group mentorship? Are you wanting mentorship but not really, like, some people want it but they can't pull the trigger. I'm kind of one of those people too. So I feel for you guys. But I have, like I said, I have people in my circle. I know myself well enough to say I can't pull the trigger on some of these things. If it was real estate, I'd write the check, no problem. But anything outside of that, I don't spend money. I don't buy things. I don't you're never going to see me in front of a Lamborghini. Like, I don't buy things. I couldn't write that check. But I have people around me who are like, yo, tap into BG. BG, get that. Go get that, because that's going to accelerate and get the word out to more people. And that's going to put everybody in a better position. So then I'll kind of tap into those things. He said Brian's mentorship program is 100%. I'm in his program. It's worth the money. About to close my first deal. Brian is always ready to help. Definitely. We were just shooting texts back and forth really all weekend, right? And today. Yeah, guys. So I think it's really just about who's going to help you to get to your goal. Because this real estate stuff, once you learn it, you keep it with you for life. This knowledge stays with you for life. It never leaves you, and you can make money for the rest of your life with real estate knowledge. So you don't need to worry about it in the sense that, like, oh, I got to get results really fast. I mean, the average person in a mentorship is getting their first deal within like 30 to 90 days. But even if you didn't get a deal that fast and it took you 6 months, once you get your first one, like I said, it's all about one deal. Those next 10 are inevitable because you just keep doing the same things. And you're building momentum naturally. In order to get your first deal, you already have momentum. So the second one's faster, the third one's faster. So you just got to get started and don't sit on the sidelines. Sweet V, I'm so close to my first deal. I have to call you because the sub 2 deal circled back to me like I knew what happened. Yeah, a lot of these deals come back, guys. So when you get a deal going, you get a deal under almost under contract, then they're like, no, we're going with a higher offer and all this stuff. Stay on it. Stay on those deals. If they're not interested, stay on them. Sometimes they'll be interested 2 weeks from now. Something else will happen 2 months from now. You have no idea how many deals I've seen happen like that, where there was like no deal going on, and then boom, they come back and they're like ready. Hey, you still want that offer? We dropped the price. Everything's fine. So definitely stay tapped in. Onika said, please, I have a question. Would you help, please? Definitely ask your questions. I'll be buying cash, so no loan. It's only a 50K little home. Could I rent that without an LLC? Still get the LLC. Do yourself a favor and just get LLC'd up. Just rip off that Band-Aid. Go through the learning curve, get the knowledge, and get yourself LLC'd up, and you'll be in a better position. What makes a lending company transfer a loan to a different company like 30 days after close? Does that even sound right? It's definitely right. So here's the veil behind the lending companies. A lot of these lenders, what they do is they're called what we like to call portfolio lenders. So why are they called portfolio lenders? What's the portfolio piece mean? Well, they build portfolios of loans. So they go out, they're essentially glorified underwriters. So they go out and they underwrite deals from a DSCR standpoint, a discounted, a debt service cash flow ratio standpoint. So they're going out and seeing where's the debt service ratio on this deal. They want it to be at least 1.2. So that means for every $1,000 of debt, there's $1,200 a month of gross rental income to service that debt. Once they have that equation and they underwrite the deal, everything's good, they add it to the portfolio. And they're building portfolios in 6-month increments. And they want these portfolios to be relatively diverse. So they're going to get a big piece from New York, a big piece from North Jersey, some of these big markets. Let's get some California, let's get some DC, and they're getting the big markets. But they love diversifying with people like me who go into the C-class markets of Philly or of Delaware or some of these other pockets because it diversifies their portfolio, because it spreads the risk into other areas so that it's not all micro-focused in some of the hot spots. So it makes the book look better. And then they package that portfolio and they sell it to big land trusts. They sell the debt to a servicing company who can service the debt and collect it. And they take what's called a B piece of the debt, which is a small piece of like the residual income of the debt servicing. But they don't have any active debt servicing responsibility. So they get paid a residual income and some upfront money for going out and underwriting this debt. And that's what's happening behind the scenes. So that's why they're selling your loan. That is their intent. They don't service the debt. They just underwrite the debt, package it, and sell it. And that's what's happening. Most people never learn that in their life or ever have to. But if you're scaling up hundreds of deals, you start having these types of conversations with lenders and getting behind the scenes on some of these things. How does a person get on with your one-on-one mentorship? Click the link in the description. Tap into the free training link that's there, and you can book a call with me and my team, and we can tap in one-on-one. Sweet V said, pull the trigger. Brian's program is packed with everything you need. It's definitely packed with the knowledge and the one-on-one component of it. But yeah, you have to jump in. Even I have trouble pulling the trigger on programs at times, but I just signed up for something today that I think is going to be really helpful. And it's part of the game, man. You have to invest in yourself first. If you believe in yourself or the mission long term, when I made the decision to sign up for the recent mastermind I signed up for today, I really just thought about my family. And I was just like, how powerful would this be for my family if I get this knowledge and it really connects and clicks? That's all I was thinking about. Not me, because I ain't going to do nothing with the money anyway, realistically. To me, it's all just a means to an end to do more real estate and, build more developers and help more people. But, all these things will go through your head. Oh, what if this happens? What if I get burned? What if it doesn't work out? What if it does work out? What if you do hit your goal? What if it does give you that knowledge that you need? And most of the time, you're only missing like 2 or 3 nuggets. The average person is 2 or 3 nuggets of missing information away from actually getting over the hump and getting to their goal and scaling, shockingly. And most will never get there because they can't pull the trigger and they can't invest in themselves. They just don't believe. So it kind of is what it is. When I registered for Ashland Auction, I didn't register under my LLC. Do I need to get another account registering as the LLC so that the LLC shows that the LLC purchased it? Definitely. Ashland Auction, for people who don't know, is a auction group in Baltimore. If you're looking to invest in Baltimore, definitely tap into Ashland Auction Group. Really solid company. I know the owners. They're good people. I've connected some people with a lot of resources there. One of our mentees got a deal kind of structured through one of the resources that I got through Ashland Auction Group, and saved. I think it allowed him to acquire a property for like $30,000 less, something like that. So just a relationship and me making some connections, a little bit of information, $30,000 saving right there. So a lot of people think that too. Like, if I invest into mentorship, can I guarantee I get my money back? It's so easy to get your value back, and then you get to keep all the knowledge. So he saved $30,000 on a purchase, and then he still has all the mentorship and all the knowledge, lifetime access to the course content. It's crazy. But yeah, definitely make that change. Make sure the LLC is on it. You want your LLC on all of these deals. You could always change it with an auction like this after the fact, because you're typically putting down a 10% at an auction. When you win the bid, you put down 10%, and then you have to come back in 30 days with the other 90%. So within that 30-day period, you could always come back and say, oh, I want to close in the name of this LLC. I'm still the same equitable owner, and they'll be fine. You're the winning bidder. So why don't they tell the buyer? Because they do tell the buyer. This is on that loan servicing question. They do tell the buyer. It's just buried in the contract. Most people just never read. When you're signing your life away in these 80-page documents in these closing packets, it's in there. But most people ain't reading that. They're just signing and getting the notary to stamp it, and they're like, "Where's the money? Give me the refi. Let's go." Once it's in an LLC, though, it might mess up my 1031 exchange, right? How can I do a proper 1031 exchange with properties and LLCs that are in different states? 1031 exchange is more of a byproduct of the structure of the deal. So a buy and hold property that is held for more than a year and a day can be 1031 exchanged. So it's not necessarily a byproduct of it being in your personal name versus the LLC. It's a matter of the holding period and then doing a like-to-like transaction within a specified time period. So that's not necessarily going to limit you, because you're still doing 1031 on the individual property. That has to be held for more than a year and a day. And then it has to go into another property within a time period. I have a video on the YouTube channel that breaks down 1031 exchanges, everything you need to think about. If anybody's interested, tap into that video. Definitely tap into that video. But no, it's LLCs are not going to prevent that. You definitely want LLCs. Abraham, I just set up my LLC a little over a month ago. Any advice on the best business bank and how to acquire business credit? It depends. It really depends on where you're at. The credit unions can be good. Navy Fed is good. I would say Navy Fed is probably the best. So if you know somebody who can kind of get you in on Navy Fed, get you referred in there, that's probably one of the best. But you should be good to go there. Yeah, and just get your bank account set up anywhere. Set up a bank account anywhere, and then you can set up multiple bank accounts. You're not limited, right? So go to Bank of America, set up a bank account somewhere where you can use Zelle and some of those different services, because they're really good when you're paying contractors and doing different stuff, moving money around. But then also shift your focus to all of these things, just the business credit and how to get there quickly. Then you might want to go to some of the credit unions or like Navy Fed or some of those different resources out there. Say, hey, Brian, I'm late. You're never late. You're right on time. If you're tapped in, you're on time. So even if you show up late, better late than never. And just stay tapped in. Just stay tapped in. Starting a wholesaling business, good. So you have your LLC. You definitely want to have your LLC when you're wholesaling, because you're dealing directly with consumers, in many cases, unsophisticated consumers and sellers, unsophisticated sellers who they're not that well versed in the deal. So you're going in and running your play and doing a deal, and then they might pop up like, hey, you stole my property from me. You told me it was worth 40K. You sold it for 50. Then they want to sue you or something, and you get into some mess. You want to have it in the LLC. You always want to be LLC'd up. So I'll have to check that out. What do you think of managing your own properties or starting your own property management company? I mean, I have my own property management company, right? I manage my own properties. And I also have used property management. And my thought on it is, if you're just getting started as a real estate investor, the first thing that you should do is get property management in place. Go put property management in place, because then you can scale effectively. Like my guy, I'm going to keep using Andrew as the example, but he's got 11 properties and he's doing a lot of the work himself. And he's on the brink of burnout. Rightfully so, right? Anybody would be on the brink of burnout, including myself. Now, if he had started off with property management in place, he wouldn't be on the brink of burnout. He would just be scaling with property management to like 10, 15 properties. Then once you get there, you actually have enough cash flow coming in where you can shift, and you have enough experience just from working with your property management company and seeing their best practices, how they're handling evictions, how they're handling tenant placements, how they're doing tenant screenings, all of these different things, how they're handling maintenance requests and calls, how they're sending you owner's reports. So you have a lot of experience. So now you could take the owner's report and their best practices and train up a virtual assistant. If you're in my mentorship program and you need a virtual assistant, I know I owe some of you guys virtual assistants. So be patient. I have some calls set up this week, and I'll get you guys tapped in. You set up a VA, now they're managing the properties for you, and they're managing it cheaper because you were paying the property management company 10%. So now you can save that 10% and use it to go towards your own virtual assistants, who can not only now manage your properties, but then they have more free time. They can help you with acquisitions or project management or sourcing materials, managing contractors, sitting on the phone with City Hall, all of these different things that you want to do. So it's all about scale. Most people would do it reverse, right? So you think, I'm going to go out and I'm going to do my 10 deals first, all by myself, and then I'll get property management in place. No, that's the wrong way, because you're going to burn out getting there. And then you're going to be like, well, I'm so burnt out, I should at least get paid, right? So then the prospect of giving 10% of the gross rental income to another company, you're like, I ain't doing that. So then you just keep going until you burn out completely. And that's what most people do. They bootstrap their way there and then they burn out because they don't know how to make the transition or give up a piece of the profit to get a bigger piece of the pie. They're so worried about the 10% that they're not thinking about that 90% and how big that 90% can get if they scale up. So it's a tough game, man. And this is one of the values of mentorship, is somebody who's been there and done it. Some things the right way, many things the wrong way. Sometimes you guys get more value if I go out and just do something completely off the wall and reckless. And I'm like, man, that was the wrong way. That's a lot of value for you guys. That could save some of you guys 5 years, 10 years. And just knowing, oh, if you walk this path, you're going to run straight into a brick wall. Go this way. That's, part of the value of membership. So yeah. Let's keep this going. I started my LLC 2 years ago and opened up a bank account at that time. There's not much in, and I haven't deposited anything. It's Navy Fed. Should I go? Yeah, you could typically apply for business credit, I believe, in like 3 months of having a bank account with Navy Fed. So you should definitely go in there. It could be a PG. You have to check. Some of their programs you have to personally guarantee the business credit. Some of them you don't. It depends, but it sounds like your business is old enough, so you may be able to do that. What are your thoughts on tenant-friendly states? Is it really a nightmare? Yeah, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare and a half. If you get in a state that is, let's say like New York. So I have a lot of New Yorkers in the mentorship program. One guy, I had a plumbing issue at my house. Had a plumber come over. Then he's like, "B, I'm trying to get into real estate. I got to get out of New York." And I'm like, "Man, everybody's coming at me." So he's like, "I got to get into Philly or something." And he's telling me about a tenant that he was trying to evict for 2 years and couldn't get him out. It took him a long time to get this person out. And he's just like, "Man, if the city would just work with me," but they don't care. They're just like, "Oh, you're a landlord. You got money. You're good. If you don't, you shouldn't be in the game." And that's the attitude in a place like New York. Whereas in other places, it's a little bit friendlier. Some places are completely landlord friendly. But I like balanced markets because here's one thing people don't talk about. And some of the markets that aren't landlord friendly, that are very tenant friendly, those markets will also fund some of the landlord eviction prevention programs. So when those eviction prevention programs come out and they get funded, a lot of those will get funded. And as a landlord, if you know how to qualify, you know how to fill out that paperwork, like I do, you'll start getting, even those people who are going to get evicted, you'll get all the back rent. It could be 5 months back rent. You'll get all of it back. As long as your game is tight, we have our paperwork, our rental licenses, all of our stuff, you get all the money back. So you have to know how to play the game, is what we're saying. There's levels to this game. You got to know how to play it. And it's chess, not checkers. Just jump into a state like, oh, this is landlord friendly, this is tenant friendly. That's checkers. Chess is, well, this is a balanced market. It's not that landlord friendly, but it's not as tenant friendly as New York or California. It's pretty balanced. And when the money hits from these stimulus payments that go to the government, they're going to fund eviction prevention programs. And I have my paperwork together. I'm going to be one of the first to file. And I'm keeping an eye out for that stuff when it hits. I'm looking for it. And I'm staying active with my market research. That's that's chess. And you want to play chess in this real estate game. You want to play chess. There's a lot of checkers players out here in this real estate, but trust me, it's a chess match. What lenders fund loans for smaller amounts under 75K? I submitted a request with one hard money lender, and they said the 40K request was too low. Should I just ask? You should actually go to some of the community banks. Community banks, local banks, small banks, and there are a couple. I know you're invested in Baltimore. There are a couple in Baltimore that will go under 50K. They will do sub 50K, but they are the community and local banks. So you want to go to them. You always want to go to the people who have the vested interest in the community growing, and they know that some of the properties in Baltimore are many of them in some of the zip codes are selling for 100K and less. So they will issue those smaller loans. You can't blame a hard money lender for not wanting to issue a loan on a $30,000 property because they have to do the same amount of work and it's just less money. So they're not going to do it. But you could do things like, well, what if I show up with two properties and that gets us over to 100K? They might underwrite both of them together, put it on a blanket loan. So it depends. Dane, what up, Brian? You ended up going to sleep last week after that last session. Do you think the new construction is better than shells since these crazy rent increases? Is new construction better than shells? No, shells are good, man. Shells are good. Shells are better than new construction, shockingly. I hate to say it, but unless you're building really big, like some of these 10, 15, 20 unit buildings, or 50 unit buildings or 100 unit buildings, getting a shell is much faster because you can get the permits faster and you can rip and run on that deal, especially a single family. You can get those permits quick and just crank through those deals. And that's a lot faster. Speed is profit in this game because if you can do more deals in less time, a ground up deal on average, new construction is going to take you soup to nuts, like just getting started, 12 to 18 months on average. Whereas the shell is going to take you anywhere from 2 to 4 months, 6 months on average. depending on the size. Like these larger duplexes or triplexes will take much longer. These single families will go much faster, 10 weeks, 12 weeks. So I would say even with the rent increases, it's all about strategy. If you can find the best strategy for these rent increases in places like Philly, guys, so the boots on the ground people where we're investing in Philly, the rent increases are making the Section 8 place so much more profitable. So even if you had, like I'm seeing duplexes on the market selling for 250, 275, 4 bed over 4 bed, each 4 bed is going to rent for 2,800, 2,800. That's 5,000, 5,500 a month coming in. And the mortgage is about let's call it $800 on every 100,000. So 1,600, let's call it 2,000 a month, 2,500 a month going out, $5,000 a month coming in. That's good cash flow. That's good business, right? So it just depends. It just depends. But I think the fast win in real estate is where you want to go, especially when you're just getting started. The ground up deals, the completely new construction deals, while they can be profitable, they are a longer turn time, and then you're exposed to more market conditions during that turn. So you don't need to do that to make serious cash flow. Do you offer financing? Just asking. Do you have a credit card? I'm not sure what. I mean, I do have a credit card, but I'm not sure what that question is in terms of financing. But we have a lot of lenders. I actually found some new lenders in Philly recently, and some national lenders that are lending even with compromised credit scores, or aren't even really doing credit checks or having credit minimums. So even if you had a 580, they're like, all right, cool, let's play ball, as long as the deal makes sense. So you just want to keep shopping around, man. Like with the lending game, you're going to hear no a lot. Even when you hear no, you just got to keep cranking. You just got to keep pushing through. Would hard money cover a land purchase to build new construction on it? Yeah. I have an opportunity to buy some lots, but I want to definitely build on them. Yeah. You can get hard money to go ground up. I know a few hard money lenders that they actually specialize in that. Not every hard money lender is into that, but there are plenty who are, and you can go ground up all day. They love it. And once you do one deal, they'll fund a bazillion of them. Okay. Being in the game of having people and families come to you for a living environment, the landlord and tenant law is more than fair to know and establish to keep your tenant and management systems fluid. Yeah, I mean, you just got to know the game. You just got to know how to play the game and play it well. Just have all your documentation together, have your rental licenses together, and you'll be fine. You can always evict when you have your game together. So a lot of the negative stories that you guys hear, they're really from people who never had rental licenses, don't know what they're doing. And then they're just like, oh, you can't evict. This is horrible. It's a ripoff. But they don't ever tell you that it was them truly who didn't have the paperwork together and do the research, didn't get mentorship. And that was just their hard knocks experience. That's another thing people don't tell you about the School of Hard Knocks is sometimes you're doing the School of Hard Knocks. Everybody don't make it out of that. It's not that you can't make it out of that, but everybody doesn't have that toughness to keep fighting through the School of Hard Knocks. You're going to learn some tough lessons. And the question is, are you going to stand back up? Are you going to stand tall and try to tackle this again and go after it again? Or are you just going to quit, throw in the towel, and have that story that you carry around with you for the rest of your life? These people who tell you some of these stories, they carry them for the rest of their life. You talk to them 20 years later to tell you about the same tenant from 40 years ago. And that's just their story, and they're sticking to it. Me, I'm like, what? I forgot about that tenant. The worst tenants, even, you'll forget about them. Can you talk about LLC structure, i.e. corporate veil state, LLC to LLC, in the state of the property? So let's talk about structuring. The best way to structure is to have LLCs that own LLCs. So think about it like a straight pyramid structure. You have an LLC at the top. I'm probably going to open that LLC in a state like Wyoming, especially if I'm a single member owner. Single member meaning I'm the only owner of this LLC. The reason I'm going to do it in Wyoming, because who's going to Wyoming, is because they have the best privacy laws, and they have the best they have low maintenance fees, annual maintenance fees. So to maintain your LLC is one of the cheapest states to do that in. Kentucky is the cheapest state to open an LLC in. I believe the fee is only $45 to open an LLC in Kentucky, but I don't know how good of a state it is in terms of the laws. Wyoming is, they consider it like the vault state. Like once you set it up there, you're very protected if somebody tries to sue you or come after you. So I'm going to have that Wyoming LLC at the top. That's my parent company. One cool thing about Wyoming is they allow for something called nominees. So you don't even have to put your name on the formation documents for the entity. You can hire what's called a nominee to put their name on the LLC formation documents and sit there in namesake only. They won't have ownership control over the LLC, which gives you even more distance. So if somebody does subpoena and try to look up who formed this, they're just going to see a nominee. They're not even going to see you. So it gives you a lot of just liability distance. So I'm going to have that at the top of the pyramid. And then under that, that LLC is going to own sub LLCs that own properties directly, no more than 5 properties to a sub LLC. And that is going to give you your basic level of structuring protection. This is how most companies are structured. And then all the profits will feed up. And then it's the top company is a pass-through entity, passes straight to you through like a partnership, taxation, distribution. And that's the basic way to structure your LLCs. And that's the state to do it in. There's really 2 states to do it in. One is Delaware, and one is Wyoming. Wyoming is cheaper. Wyoming has better protections, quite frankly. Better protections. And that's those dual protections we were talking about, which is not only if somebody slips and falls at the LLC to sue you, but if you get sued personally, they can't take your assets. Do you guys understand how powerful that is? That means if your company is flowing, because we're talking about landlord tenant friendly, there are LLC friendly states and states that are not LLC friendly. So when you set up your business, you better be setting up your business in an LLC friendly state. So what does LLC friendly mean? This means the state and how the court that is governing these LLCs views the business is, and they'll have their separate court. Like Delaware has the Court of Chancery, and how they view business is, well, even if somebody got sued, even if Roland got sued personally, what if his company is providing 100 jobs? I don't want him getting sued personally to allow some creditor to come in and collapse this company and 100 jobs for people. No, we believe in companies in this state. So they have protections that prevent, even if Roland gets sued personally, the creditor from coming in and trying to control and take over the LLC and the LLC's assets. So then the LLC's assets have protection from him personally. So the company goes on. And if you're the company owner, the show goes on. So it provides another level of protection, which it might be going over your head right now if you're watching this or listening to this. But trust me, this stuff is extremely powerful. And the more you learn about this stuff, and LLC friendly states, and Wyoming in particular, why Wyoming is the best. I left some links in the description for Wyoming LLCs, the top 10 benefits of forming a Wyoming LLC. It's in the description. Click the links in the description. There's free trainings, of course, with me. You can book a call with me, of course. Learn about the Boots on the Ground program where we build houses for you. Learn about the one-on-one mentorship program, but also for this LLC stuff. We left that in there for you guys. Read up on that. It's a quick article, quick read, very good value, but one of the best places to set up, Wyoming. And you're not going to hear it enough. You don't hear it enough. But that's how it was structured. I need into the Boots on the Ground program, access ASAP. I'll get you in. I'll get you in. I saw your text come through. I'll get you tapped in. The Boots on the Ground. I mean, we just sent out we just sent out 5 deals to the boots on the ground people today. 5 deals went out. The numbers are looking crazy. One of them had like $1,000 a month in cash flow. And there's just a ton of cash flow out there. Just a ton of cash flow out there. Quality living environment. I think this was part 2 of the question. What does having an LLC entail? I have a small 9-unit apartment in California, tourist town. Should I be worried about rent control? Yeah, you definitely should. You should be worried about a lot in California. Rent control. You're talking about, I even go past like tenant friendly. It's almost like anti-landlord to a degree. Like for me, California is a scary place to hold real estate right now. Most of our mentees in California are looking for ways to invest out of town in cheaper cities as well, because California is not cheap. You already have it there. So I would focus on picking good tenants, picking good people. If you pick good people, you don't have to worry about the, landlord tenant laws. But rent control, it's just a government overreach, in my opinion. It's a government overreach. It is something that I would be concerned about. I would be very concerned about. And, if you're already in it, you already own it, you keep it, you keep the right people in there, and you do your underwriting pretty hardcore. You collect as much rent up front on those move-in deposits, and keep your debt low, because you might get in a situation. But also there should be, funding opportunities for landlords. So make sure your licensing is airtight so that you can qualify for any of those, stimulus fundings that come in, or landlord programs where you can get back rent and back pay directly from the government. Just make sure you're tapping in there. As I said, wow, great info. Definitely dropping some gems for you guys on this thing. They're sprinkled in here. Can you transfer an LLC already made in one state to another? If so, is it worth it? Yes, you can. And a lot of people will transfer their existing LLC and get it transferred to Wyoming, because as they learn more about the charging order protections that exist there for single member LLCs, the privacy there, a lot of people are like, man, and they just get them transferred in. So there's a process for that. I think it's like somewhere between $400 to $500 to transfer it in. But then remember, the maintenance, the ongoing annual renewal fees on the LLC are so much cheaper in a place like Wyoming than they are in most states. Like Wyoming might be $200, whereas Delaware is like $350. Some places, I was talking to somebody in Massachusetts, it was like $575 a year to just maintain the LLC. So even in making that decision to transfer, even though there's a cost to that, you may recoup that in 2-3 years and just saving on the filing fees. And then every year after that is a net savings every year after that. So there's a break even, and then you're getting more protection. You're in the best state, and make sure you get a nominee and keep yourself anonymous. So, I mean, there's levels to that. If you do that, all of that, get the nominee, you're not on the formation documents, then you have the land trust set up, and the land trust owns the LLC or owns your primary residence as well, and you're just the beneficiary. You can just keep layering this thing out, and that's what you want to do. What do you delegate, and what do you spend your time focusing on? I delegate everything, and I spend my time on a lot of things, but I spend my time on acquisitions mostly, like finding profitable deals. Because as a developer, if you can find profitable deals, you can always make money, and you can always create work for contractors. And having contractors working on deals is money. The people, the real power is people. So if you can have those people eating off the ecosystem that you're creating through your acquisitions machine, you're going to win. So I spend most of my time in acquisitions, and I try to delegate as much as possible, but it takes time to delegate properly. It takes time to train. It takes time to work with you guys and educate, you guys who are in a mentorship program. So I'm always doing something. But my life is pretty simple: family, working out, exercise, and then real estate. And that's it. There's not really time for for many vices. There's just not time. So, I try to delegate as much as possible, but within reason. And when you're at the top, everything flows up anyway. So any escalations or headaches are going to flow up, but those are all training opportunities for your people. So you just keep training. Real estate, I don't think it's real estate flipping. There's one for like property management and like rental property investing. There's one like that. I just looked it up recently. I'll send it to you for the correct code. This is important when you're establishing your LLC. They'll ask you for the code, the NAICS code. LLC friendly states, awesome. Isn't there a fee associated when the location where you form your LLC versus where you're currently operating in? I forget the name. Yeah, it's called a non-resident. It's called a non-resident entity like form. So if I have a Wyoming LLC and I'm investing in Philly, I have to register it as a foreign registration form, a foreign entity. So even though we are a series of states in the United States, each state is essentially technically kind of like its own jurisdiction and country. The governor kind of runs it. So if you come from another state, you're foreign. So you have to file a foreign registration. You're a foreigner. So a foreign registration form. And Wyoming does not have income taxes, personal income taxes. So that's why it can be a good state to form in, because then you would still only be subject to the taxes of where you're investing. You're not dealing with that double taxation situation. So it's another pro and con of doing the Wyoming versus your own state. So definitely click that link in the description to read up on that. I wish we could read through all of it. And I plan on reading through a lot of it, but you guys have a lot of questions today. So we're just trying to pound through some of these questions. Sweet V said, I need in too, can't wait. Yeah, if you're interested in the boots on the ground, definitely tap in. We have a couple people who are interested in tapping in this month. And I promise you, I only have room for maybe 2 or 3 more people. And that might be pushing it. That might be me being like generous and wanting to help some people get in. But we're at capacity, and I think after this month we're going to just shut it down for the year. And just the people who are in it will be in it, but we may make some people wait until the new year to open things back up when we get a bit more bandwidth. I'm getting ready to house hack my single family, renting out my 4 bedrooms, and I live in my basement. Can I collect rent under my LLC even though the house is in my primary? Yeah, you could set up a property management company. Set up an LLC as a property management company, and then have the rent flow to them. Yeah, you could set that up. You could set that up for sure. You could assign rights to the rental income to the LLC, and just have it all go there. Have it be a pass-through entity. It'll be fine. It's still not going to necessarily protect you from liability, though. So that kind of is what it is. If you're doing the house hack, you want to beef up on your insurance, and I have a video on that on the channel. It's one of my early videos from when I started the channel. So you have to do some scrolling, but it breaks down like it's called like LLC or personal name, and it breaks that down, and it shows you how to beef up your insurance if you're doing that house hack and you have that in your personal name. He said, watch the Mitchell Gold and Robert Williams on today's show. Today talks about LLC Grape. So you guys can check that out. Yes, I have a no paying tenant, and I feel she holds all the cards. If I believe you're in California, they definitely hold all the cards. They hold what I would call the whole kit and caboodle. The whole kit and caboodle. So, it's tough, man, but you're in California. For some reason, you're certainly not doing this, but I have had people in California to kind of argue with me, and I'm just like, guys, you gotta get out of there, man. This is the Get Out movie. Like, you gotta invest out of town, because I feel like there's a lot of government overreach going on there, and I don't like it. I feel like you work so hard to become a independent owner and control your own destiny here, than to have the government just come in and like prevent you and tie your hands from being able to evict from somebody who's clearly not paying, just just because they want to overreach. And they're like, well, we think this is better. And it's like, well, come on, man. Like, they're not giving you money. They're not helping you out. Even with the whole COVID, they never really gave landlords any type of relief. They gave you some type of relief, but not enough. And they gave everybody else relief. They didn't force the banks to stop coming after you. Said, I just did my $75 for my Wyoming LLC renewal. Yeah, some of these states are like $350 to renew, just to renew. It's just a, hey, I'm putting my hand out this year, put cash in it. They're not doing anything for you. Can you add a foreign entity to your LLC? I think we'll have to maybe re-ask that question, but probably. I'm not sure the exact nature of the question. Do you get a virtual mailbox? Yes. You can set up a virtual mailbox where you're in the state that you're forming an LLC in, and then all your mail can get sent there. You don't want to put your personal address on your LLC formation documents. That defeats the purpose of trying to be anonymous. Because then anybody's attorney is just going to look up the LLC and be like, look, the guy put his home address, it's him. Like, it's not going to help you. So you want to get one of these iPostal.com, iPostal.com, and you can go there and set up like a virtual mailbox where when mail arrives, they scan it, they upload it to a portal. You can look at it, trash it, whatever you want to do. And it's a physical location. It's a physical mailbox. Deb says, I started the LLC last week, but you are opening my eyes to things I did not even know about. Thank you for your insight. Thanks, Deb. Appreciate it. And Deb, we got to get you tapped into the Boots on the Ground program. I sent you that information on the Boots on the Ground program over the weekend. I think it was late. I was up probably way too late on Saturday and just having too much fun doing real estate. And I was sending out emails and all types of stuff at 1 a.m. And I think you got hit. I think you got beat over the head with an email at 1 a.m. So definitely check your inbox there. But I sent you some information there. Where, I'm not sure what this is in reference to. I'm not sure what your last question was. Thanks, Brian. I appreciate the info, definitely. Thanks for the info. This was definitely in other courses I've taken. Thanks for the gems, definitely. Yeah, there's a lot of wrinkles to this stuff, and we didn't even get into everything. But you definitely want to do this thing in Wyoming. There's just so much protection there that it's gonna put you guys on the right track. The second state that do this in is like Delaware. Sometimes people do it in Delaware because what I've heard in terms of why people do Delaware versus Wyoming is if you're trying to raise money, do Delaware because they do have a lot of protections. If you're doing a multi-member LLC, not just a single member LLC, do Delaware. And Delaware can be friendly because they have the Delaware Court of Chancery. So in business litigation, they have a very well-defined business litigation court. And, it's just viewed by investors as a safer place for companies to be founded, because wherever you form your company, that is, if you get into a lawsuit, typically the state that is going to govern that lawsuit and any disputes that happen with that entity. So a lot of investors, because they know the Court of Chancery and the case law that exists there, the extensive case law, and how kind of clear things can be, they view it as a safer investment if you form your LLC there. If you're like us and you're just an investor and you're trying to do what's best for your pocket and trying to have as much asset protection as possible on your rental properties, do it in Wyoming because there's nowhere better, and it's cheap. And I believe Wyoming they established like the first LLC case law. I believe they were like the first. So, they have a very extensive case law. So, guys, we got into a lot today. I didn't expect us to get so many questions coming through. We got to talk about LLCs a bunch, but not as much as I anticipated. So maybe we'll do another LLC breakout at some point in the future. But I hope that this information helped you guys. Once again, if you want to read up more on these Wyoming LLCs, click the links in the description. They're in there. I put another link in there that will help you as well. But definitely educate yourself, and then you can tap into the free trainings. You can book a call with me one-on-one. If you want to learn about the Boots on the Ground program, I would recommend that you reach out sooner rather than later, because that program is it's filling up to a level where we're just running out of capacity, guys. Like I just don't know how I don't know how else to say that, but we're running out of capacity. And once it's out, then we just have to, you kind of have to sit on the bench and wait for somebody to tap out of the game or need a sub before you can get in. Oliver, who we call O, says, is there a way to expedite the waiting process of the foreign business form to do business in Philly? Not really, but it usually takes about 20 days. Just get it done quickly. The only other way is to drive to Pittsburgh and just file it in person, believe it or not, because that's where those forms go. So you'd have to drive to Pittsburgh, which is not, if you make a trip out of it, because Pittsburgh is a top 10 city, I would say, to invest in the country. It's really up and coming. It's off the beaten path, and there's incredible opportunity out there. So you could kill two birds with one stone, take a trip out to Pittsburgh, check out the city, go see some properties, and then drop that thing off at the office. Or you can just kind of wait it out and let them process it. But most of the time, the lenders are going to allow you to continue to operate even if the foreign registration form is not fully processed. Just the fact that you filed it, they'll let you go. You can kind of keep going with the process. So that's kind of that. So go out to Pittsburgh if you're feeling frisky and you want to see some more real estate. What's up, B? I have a Wyoming LLC and a Pennsylvania one. My Wyoming is my holding LLC. How do I go about putting my PA LLC under my Wyoming? Just with the operating agreement. So you can take the operating agreement. In the operating agreement, there's a section that says who the owner, who the member is. So you would do what's called an amendment to the operating agreement, and in that amendment, you would also amend the owner. So you would do a corporate filing, signing the membership interest over to this parent company. So you might have the membership units in your PA company right now. So it's like a PA LLC, you have the membership units. And then in your Wyoming company, you have 1,000 membership units typically. You want to take those 1,000 membership units in your PA company and make your Wyoming company the owner of those 1,000 membership units. So now you own the parent company owns the PA company. And that is the structure. That's how it feeds up and passes through to you, the ultimate owner. Hopefully that makes sense. If not, just rewind it, watch it back. It'll make sense. And if you need more help than that, just reach out and tap in. Do S corps have the same protections as LLCs? It depends. Because they're, in general, yes, but it also does depend on states, and then it depends on protections. Generally, yes, but then taxation and some of those things, not quite. And then there are different ways where you can violate the S corp versus the LLC. So you can open yourself up to more exposure there if you violate any of the bylaws of the S corp and then invalidate them. You could get pierced. So there's different things you have to watch out for. There's just different things you have to watch out for. I would say in general, yes, but there's different reasons to structure the S corp versus the LLC, or versus the partnership like pass through. So good looking out. So guys, hopefully that helped. Like I said, click the links in the description, like, comment, subscribe, leave the comment that says I subscribe. Share the content with anybody who you think would get value from the mindset, from any of the stuff that we broke down today. We broke down so much, and because the questions were great tonight. You guys are really locked in, and we just got a ton of value out of this session. Really, I could probably clip out this whole session into five different breakout sessions. Said, do I need an operating agreement if I'm the only member of the LLC? No, but you should do it anyway. You should have one anyway because it can help at times. So you should have like a boilerplate one anyway. And I can always slide you some boilerplate, but it depends on what state you're in, what type of operating agreement you want, and what type of information you want in it. But yeah, guys, hope this helped. I'm gonna tap out, but if you guys want to get a hold of me, if you want to learn about boots on the ground, like I said, get into that quickly. If you want to learn about the one-on-one mentorship program, just reach out. And that's that, guys. Hopefully this helped. Shoot me a text, drop a like if you got value, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Brian Grimes, your real estate mentor, signing off.